Welcome in to the Open Eyes See More podcast. I'm your host, Michelle, and like always, we're here again to unravel some mysticism and esotericism, bringing in awareness, deeper awareness to the collective consciousness. And today I'm going to be talking about the 1111 portal, seeing as it is today and we're still in Scorpio season, and it's one of the most transformative seasons of all Western astrology, as that is what I am going by at this time. And if you're into Vedic astrology, it's Libra season, which also is super, super powerful, as well as being the message behind this 1111 portal. So as of today, we're reverting into Western astrology, as it's the tool that I use most in reference. So what is the 1111 portal? And what am I talking about? For reference, 1111, I'm sure at this point most of us know that is somewhat of a divine reflection. And in numerology, it has the power of divinity and giving us a lot of messages just in its singularity. So what I really want to speak to first is just going to be in the practice of even understanding that it is a reflection itself. And in that reflection, it can be seen as a mirror. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about in essence. When you look at 1111, it literally looks like a portal. They look like pillars. They look like parallel markings. And the addition to 1111 being that it is its own master number also doubles as a master number. So when you add them together, it becomes 22, and that is a super powerful master number as well. So already off the bat, you have so many messages just within this beautiful synchronistic marriage between these symbols. And I really have known quite a lot of people to have seen this number when they are getting close to like a spiritual awakening, which most of us at this point, especially if you're listening to this podcast, you've definitely come to this instance or recognition before in your lifetime. I'm almost positive of that. And if you haven't, then this may be the sign for you to just be a little bit more aware in the sense of paying attention to things, listening, really listening, trusting yourself and your intuition. But that's not why we're here today. I'm not going to get too much into that. If you want to look it up, dive deeper into that on your own account. But for today, I had pulled some cards. I used a few decks, but I also wanted to talk about what this 1111 portal might mean for you. And I say might because even though we are all in this world together, there are certain connections that you'll make that it makes it that much more clear that you're a part of a collective consciousness. And what I also mean by that is there may be soul bond, soul family that you're running into now through these times that seem very aligned with your path, very aligned with who you are, who you've always been, and you're probably reconnecting with those spiritual flames at this time. We also have a lot of awakenings, a lot more collective awareness explosions happening at this time. So be gentle with yourself. That's such a huge message just to be aware of what truths are really surfacing for you and living in those truths, and not only living in those truths, but able to speak them clearly so that others may understand you. Because again, here we are. I like to even consider this 1111 portal as a mirror and the architect. And these archetypes are basically, in their truth, showing us who we are and what we're doing. So if we're reflecting something, it's going to be reflected back. And it's a lot more obvious on this day. So there may be things happening for you on this day that feel a lot more um, like aimed at you. So if you're not necessarily secure with your truth, you might feel attacked. You might feel a little bit more poked and prodded. And during this time, it's going to really ask you to reflect, self-reflect, not reflect and deflect to other people. This can be very triggering for you. Be aware that this is also happening for other people too. So finding a kind of a streamline of compassion, meeting people where they are and not taking anything for too personally. So the architect, that is the creator, that is the person who is pulling the strings along with being able to see what is being built. So if we're looking into a mirror, you can see exactly what it is that is being reflected. You're there with yourself, but being the architect means that you can create whatever you want to be reflected back to you. So the 1111 portal can be summed up in this essence of, how do you want to be perceived? How do you want to perceive others? How do you want the universe to respond to you? And how do you want to respond to the universe? i.e., what do you want? What do you want in this lifetime? What do you want to manifest? How do you want to live your life that is true for you? And this is not new conversation. This is not just right off the brim topics. We've been discussing these things for quite some time now, and these are not new. This is not new information. But if this feels somewhat of a nuance to you at this time, know that it is divinely guided for you and that you have been brought to it for a specific reason. And it is always that way. That's why 1111 is that number that a lot of people see when they are coming to an awakening, because it is such a divine entity. It is bringing forth this beauty and this essence of understanding, connectivity, alignment. So I want to talk about the day, because the 1111 portal happens to align on a Thursday. And Thursday is the planetary energy of Mercury. And this is a beautiful energy because Mercury is all about speaking our truth in whatever form that takes and how we communicate. Mercury is that planet of communication. So what are we doing today on the 1111 portal? We're communicating honestly, truthfully, in our truth. And not just saying, oh, I have to be honest about everything that I think. It's a honesty and reflection, because there are mirrors and you are intended to be an architect on this day specifically, but always. And the 1111 portal makes it more obvious what we need to pay attention to. So there might be an energy today of speaking, or how you're communicating. What do you need to communicate to others? What do you need to communicate to yourself? And also, I connect a little bit into angels in the angelic realm. And Thursday is also represented by Archangel Michael. So Michael is a divine archangel who helps you almost legitimately with anything that you can think of. He is a powerhouse of an archangel, so you can call on him today if you feel connected to that essence of the angelic realms or feel that you are connected in that way at all. But understand that these are energies and spirit beings that are around us always, and it's just the dimension the dimensions that we can't necessarily see all the time that make it seem that they're not, but they are, and they are with us. Anytime that you need assistance, just call out and ask for their help. And that even more brings into the awareness as why it might be connected to Thursday and being a mercurial sign, because it is all about being able to trust that you can communicate and it will be received. And then you have to be in that patience frame of waiting to receive that message. And it might not be exactly what you are, what you may think it be received as. Just allow the space to receive and just pay attention. Just always pay attention, because it may come in a different form than how you may think it does, and usually it does. If you're thinking it's going to come in a singular way, usually it comes in some other form and you might miss it. So be aware today, communicate what you desire, what you need, what you want, and allow that space to receive. So I also want to speak on the tarot, because that's something that I use a lot. It's something that I use as a divination tool, but not only that, as connecting into my intuition and using it as a tool on many different accounts for many different things. And not only today did I pull a few tarot cards, but I also pulled an oracle card. But I also found a little bit of some connections, of the 1111 meaning. And the card that is connected to 1111 is the Strength card. I don't find that to be any coincidence, right? So the Strength card is a sign that it is really fueling our purpose. How can we be strong? By being fearless, and rightfully fearless, not negatively fearless. We are fearless in the face of adversity and saying, we're going to take on this challenge because I know it's good for me. It is a choiceless choice. It is a choosing to be in an essence that you embody this lifetime, and deciding that I'm going to be the master of my own reality, the master of my universe, the creator, the ultimate architect that is going to decide what is right for me and what is not right for me, and leaving the rest behind. Because that is the energy that the collective consciousness is seating with them at this time. Can I get an amen? Yes. So you are a courageous person, and your motivation allows you to carry your projects from start to finish. This is a quote that I just read off that is in the definition of that Strength card relating to the 1111 portal. How beautiful is that, right? So I want to touch on the cards that I pulled today. And if you're interested in tarot or oracle readings, I also have services that I offer to others as well. So if you're ever interested, please reach out to me. You can contact me with the information in the show notes, or if you're on YouTube, do it in the description box as well as following me there too. So definitely want to make more videos of tarot and do daily astrology or something like that. If you're interested, please follow my channel as well. The cards that I will be using for the tarot deck today is from the Ame tarot deck, and the oracle cards are going to be from Dark Mirror. And I really felt called to be using this because, of course, here we are, 1111 portal. It represents this huge mirror for me, and at least that's what I get from it. You may see it a little bit differently, but that's obviously really beautiful to consider because that is your expression and how you view that 1111 portal, and if it's even a portal for you. And 1111 being the divinity, a divine code, essentially, it is a code. In that we can tap into this mirrored reality, the mirrored universe, and have it work for us. And if, again, I think I want to touch on too, I'm being brought to my last podcast because I went over the mirrored perceptions of this reality and how everything is essentially just that, as a mirrored perception. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, go back to my last episode, and it is episode number 9. So yeah, tap into that. But The Dark Mirror is by Laura Sava. I think that's how you say that last name, but we're gonna go with that. And I pulled a card from there as well. So this got eerie when I pulled the card. It's because the messages I asked for was, what does the collective need to, or not necessarily need to, because we don't necessarily need anything, but what can I offer the collective as a message today, and then allow that to come through. The first card that popped up, the Devil card, for those of you on YouTube. This is the card here. And then I asked for clarity onto why that Devil card is there, and we got the 4 of Cups. So right off the bat, we're going in hard. These are messages that need to be heard. So what we're going to talk about, this Devil card, don't be afraid. It's not that serious, but it is something to pay attention to because it speaks a lot to how we're living our lives right now. Are we going to be fueling our ego self, that fear-based mentality, that fear-based reality that says I can't, or I won't, or I shouldn't, or I couldn't? Any of those doubts, the self-limiting beliefs, why are they still there? Why are they still there? I know that we go through these phases. It's just we need to nip them in the butt whenever they happen, right? I'm not perfect at it. I definitely do the same thing, but it's obviously more, it is more obvious to me in the state that I'm at right now, along this path, along this journey, the particular point in time that I'm at right now. It seems super obvious to me. You may be in that phase as well. How are you speaking for yourself? How are you showing up for yourself? What are you allowing the universe to offer you, and how are you receiving it? Are you receiving it? Do you hear the call? Do you pay attention to the reflections from others? How are you self-reflecting? How are you showing up for the reality that you want to create for yourself? And are you even? What are you leaving behind? What do you need to leave behind? What is confining you to a space of pain that is inconsistent with your truth, that is inconsistent with the love that you deserve, that is inconsistent with the pleasure, the true pleasure, not the pleasure because we said something that somebody said was supposed to feel good, the pleasure that is right for you and whatever that is, and not feeling ashamed or guilty or wrong for feeling the innate gift of pleasure. Because on the opposite of that feels like pain, misery, deceit, confusion, anger even. And the reason this Four of Cups is explaining this Devil card is because there's a sensing, your intuitive nudges that you're ignoring, that you are choosing to be unaware of, rather allowing the perceptions of everybody else's architect to destroy your world because you have no foundation to build upon. And that is a disillusion. In itself is a disillusion. Why did you allow yourself to get there? Why did you say that it was okay? In truth, we have to go there. A lot of times along many of our journeys, along many of our paths, we have to see that we can't, because we are spiritual beings living a human experience. And feeling so in this world is a challenge. But we have every bit of power within us at all times. We never lose our power. That's a faulty disillusion. We never become powerless. We always have our power. The reason you got to the feeling of feeling less than foundational, less than confident, less than conversational is because you allowed the other architects to decide for you. And I hope that this makes sense, because here we are, 1111 portal, the epitome of realizing we are the architect. We are the masters of our universe. We are the builders of that foundation. Where are you building your foundation? Where are you allowing the space to receive that guidance and be like, okay, I need to place this brick here, this pile of concrete here, and whatever foundation that looks like for you. Maybe it's mud, maybe it's clay. Your expression is your expression, and it's going to be right for you. But you have to open yourself to the understanding that you are creating it. You can't let the other architects make you feel disillusioned by your own expression. Because again, they're only reflecting back to you what you're not doing, making you feel even more out of control. But the truth is, like, we are them. They're just showing us what we're not yet at, and that's okay. But that is our potential, and it's always our potential. So instead of getting angry, being hurtful, saying things in a reactive way that ultimately only end up hurting you in the end, you decide to reflect, self-reflect, readjust, realign, come back into self, and have that conversation. How do I want to move forward? Do I want to remain in a place that says I'm not good enough, or I can't accomplish what everybody else is accomplishing. The biggest factor here, I feel, deals with our lack of emotional well-being and support that we did not receive when we were children. We are more likely to react than to observe, right? That feels appropriate. The onset of the awareness to this collective consciousness that is being vibrationally excelled and growing and just, I'm like, as I'm viewing it, I'm feeling this beautiful flower just blooming, like endless amounts of petals just continuously expanding in all different directions. That is what we are doing. That is who we are. That's what we are becoming. We can't be a flower when we are disillusioned by thinking that we're just always going to be the dirt or a seed. The oracle card that I pulled, it speaks to the dark mirror. What do I mean by dark mirror? What does this maybe possibly mean by the dark mirror? The shadow, maybe? What is the shadow? Self-reflection of every architect's mirror. Your inner architect. What is it saying? What is it showing you? Number 29, anger. Anger and chains. Anger and chains. 29 in numerology equals 11. I can't make this up. I pulled this, shuffled, asked what we needed to hear for the collective consciousness. What do we need to hear? We need to see that the mirror is reflecting to us our anger and the chains that we've allowed to be put on us. If we look into the devil card, it usually is represented by these two beings, almost as if they're voluntarily being chained to this post that the devil himself is standing on. And even in the imagery, it looks as if they're just sitting there like, are you gonna leave? Maybe, I don't know. Are you gonna leave? I don't know. I kind of like it here. Maybe, I don't know. What's on the other side of, outside of this? Or should we just stay here because it's comfortable, but not really comfortable? It's like kind of comfortable because we don't really have to like, do anything. We can just sit here chained up all day and just look at our bodies. Sounds nice. But this anger and chains, I perceive it very much alike chaos. The construction of chaos, because we built it. But being the creator of a universe also means that you can destroy it. And being in Scorpio season allows us to see that everything transforms through death. Why are you afraid of dying? Really ask yourself that question. I think the only logical fear is the fear of the unknown. In maybe any case of anything. And also, contradictingly, is the most beautiful hope. Because what we don't know, we don't know. And sometimes that's the blessing, right? Because that allows the space for mysticism and magic to really unfold, for things to start working for you instead of against you. When we ignore our necessity to open up to the unknown, we become rigid and frigid and scared and closed off and blocked and muted and weak. But again, remember what I said earlier on, we never lose our power. It is always within us, because we are that creator. We are always the creator. We are the architects. How do you transform a fear into your greatest strength? Ask any Scorpio. Ask any Scorpio. See what they say. Ask any Scorpio. And mainly the top 3 placements. So if they have a sun, moon, or rising, ask a Scorpio. My view on fear has dramatically changed. I willingly look into the face of fear with hope. And again, my only fears at this exact moment feel like the fear of the unknown. But I also feel the most comfort in that. And that's what I hope for all of you during this time. I think it is a major day season for self-reflection, to be able to understand what is dying off in your life right now. You are safe. You are most likely not physically going to die. But the devil reminds us that we are tied to our ego self. And it can become the thing that rules our life instead of the beauty of the unknown. Yeah. I feel that the anger that we can reside in has been fueled for way too long. Because the truth of that is we're only angry at ourselves. Why are you causing yourself that much pain? You don't deserve that. So, moving into the rest of the year and away from what we're transforming in this season is going to be a refresh, a cleansing, a pure reset, and it is there for you. It is happening for you. That's why you're angry. Assess yourself. Release it. Let it go. Let it go. And come the nuance of the year 2022, you will feel balanced, secure, harmonious, and beyond in tune with the collective, but more importantly, with the universe, with yourself, and what you're doing, what you're accomplishing, what you are building, what you are creating, because 2022 is all about moving into the next phase, connections. You're making connections and then seeding a truth within you. Next year is going to be very obvious to some who are still holding on to their ego, self, and who isn't. And those who will be holding on to their ego self will find each other and they will create something not so pleasant. While those who have understood that that fear does not decide their reality and their structure of their world will find each other as well, and they will continue to blossom through that unlimited petaled flower together. I can already sense how contrasting it will be, and it already is kind of becoming, but you get to choose where you want to land. You get to choose where you want to be. You get to choose always through anything, everything, always. What are you going to choose? When your soul knows it, everything else around you will be brought to you for a reason. There are lessons always for you. How you view them is how you're going to decide. How you view them is how you're going to decide. Meditate, journal, do some yoga, mental yoga even. Communicate to people around you what you need. Communicate to people around you what you're experiencing. I guarantee they are more than likely experiencing something very similar. These are the keys that will allow you to unlock the clarity that you have been searching for. This is a channeled message. I think that's all I have for you today. I appreciate you listening, being present for this message. I feel some of you may need to re-listen to this maybe one other time, maybe two other times. Please send this to somebody who you feel connected to. And again, you have angels and guides and a spirit team around you all the time. Please reach out to them as well. They are there listening to you. They are there waiting for you. Make the connection. Have the communication. Be your own architect. I love you, and I hope this 1111 portal was everything for you as it has been for me. I will see you in the next episode. Namaste.